Ladies and gentlemen, I was wrong about Macklin Celebrini. Now, that's not to say I didn't like him. He was ranked first overall in my draft rankings all throughout last season. Celebrini was somebody that I've always loved and always adored. But there was one pretty big mistake I made. Even though I loved him all throughout and loved to see him go first overall, the expectations and the Calder Trophy chances were something that I was a little bit lower on with Celebrini. But so far, we are seeing him absolutely dominate in his rookie year. Where did I go wrong? How good has Celebrini been in his rookie year? And is he the Calder Trophy frontrunner? Well, make sure you watch till the end because we're going to be breaking down everything here with Celebrini's rookie season. And hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this all throughout the year, presented by BetUS. Now, we're going to get into the Celebrini talk, but let's take a few seconds to talk about today's sponsor in BetUS, the place to make hockey picks throughout the year. Just use code U2150 when you sign up, and you'll get a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and 125% sign-up bonus on your next two deposits after that. Whether you're looking to make picks throughout the NHL on your team or any other team, even the NHL trophies. You got right now Celebrini leading in odds for the Calder Trophy at -200. BetUS, though, is the place to make your hockey picks, and thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's talk about Celebrini and just how wrong I was, especially when it comes to his rookie season. Now, I've always liked Celebrini. He was somebody that we ranked first overall in the rankings for a long time, and for very good reason. You see what he was able to accomplish with BU last year, and just how dominant he was as a rookie. 38 games, 32 goals, 32 assists, 64 points, about as even as a player as you could possibly get, and as a dominant level as he was, absolutely a deserved Hobey Baker win. The fact that Celebrini, who was 17 throughout that whole college hockey season, was able to perform at a level where he would win the Hobey Baker is just extraordinary. I mean, for a freshman to even be considered is pretty extraordinary, but in Celebrini's case to win, it was unheard of. But it was easy to see why he was so dominant. You had so many great traits and so few holes. In fact, I don't think there was really any hole in his game. You could maybe argue there were times where physically you wanted to see more muscle on him, but he was a 17-year-old in the NCAA. That was bound to happen. But still, how engaged he was physically, especially on defense, and how he was using his brains, using his quickness around the ice, there was just so much to like there, and such an easy player to project. When you consider Celebrini's two strengths, the speed in his decision-making and the IQ that he has in his complete game, those are the two things that I think are the most important things for NHL players to have. You need to either have at least one of those, I think, to be able to be a successful NHLer. And in Celebrini's case, he has both of those on top of just a great balanced game that would treat him well in the NHL in the future. He was going to be a first-line center no matter what. But then we go on to where things have gone wrong, and that is my Calder Trophy predictions. You look at my top 5, and there are some pretty rough parts. Now, I do still think having Beach Cup at the top, it was obvious, but I still do think there is the chance that he is able to win it. Dusty Wolf being second, I think he was a Calder dark horse. So far, I think we have seen that be the case. You have Lane Hudson as well in the top 5, who has also been pretty solid. Stankoven also in the mix, though the points haven't quite been there. The big thing, though, was Celebrini not being in the top 5. Now, this was for a myriad of reasons. The biggest one for me, though, was just my questioning over San Jose's supporting cast, really, and how they would synergize with Celebrini. So far, that has actually been one of the biggest benefits to Celebrini's rookie season. The fact that San Jose has improved in a lot of ways, even if the standings results aren't there, they've been a much more competent and competitive team, and Celebrini, of course, is a big reason for that, but I think a lot of the additions they made in the offseason have really bolstered it. Really, a lot of those concerns about that San Jose supporting cast have been alleviated. You have a lot of the offseason additions like Tyler Toffoli, Alex Wennberg, and even on the defense in Jake Wallman playing extraordinarily well. And I think especially players like Toffoli and Wennberg have given San Jose a lot more of a veteran presence that, quite frankly, they needed. You look at the Sharks' placement in the standings, and it's obviously not too great, second last in the league, but a lot of these games I feel like have just been closer than they were last year. You look at their 28 losses, if you include the regulation and overtime, and out of those 28, 13 of them have been one-goal losses. So a lot of these have been really close games that I don't think the Sharks would have made all that close last year. But you look at that supporting cast, and I think it's a pretty solid one now. You have Mikael Granlund, who's seriously one of the most underrated players in the league, 34 points in 37 games. But you look outside of that, Celebrini, of course, second place. Eklund has really improved his skill so far this year. You have Söderlund, who's playing really well, Tyler Toffoli, Jake Wallman, Wennberg, those three guys, all new additions. So you have, I think, a lot more balance throughout that roster, and I think that's allowed a lot more success for not just Celebrini, but especially Will Smith as well, because that was also a reason why I wasn't really too high on Smith's Calder chances. I think that was more so because of his more obvious issues with physicality and defensive play, which we saw especially to start out this season. Smith's gotten a lot better at that, but I think the supporting cast was a big issue to me, especially in racking up points, but we have not seen that issue so far this year, and Celebrini has also been carrying his own load. But I think what makes Celebrini so special throughout this year, at least when he's been healthy, is the fact that no matter who he plays with, the results have been following. Whether it's Toffoli, Eklund, Söderlund, Smith, you could pretty much go throughout the entire lineup, and it seems like whoever Celebrini plays with, he makes them better. And that was honestly one of the most important things to me with ranking Celebrini first overall last year, was not just the skill and the smarts, but just how much he's able to carry his own line and really play with his teammates in such a perfect way no matter what. It felt like in every situation, Celebrini was just driving positive results. No matter who he was playing with, no matter who he was with, Celebrini was able to get the best out of them, and I think that's so important for San Jose's success. So important that they got that first overall pick, got Celebrini, because they've needed this generational, pivotal type of franchise player in Celebrini that they haven't quite had before. You have one of Celebrini's biggest strengths, his adaptability, his rating, his scanning around the ice, and just how good he can be in any situation. You have this goal versus Vegas, which was just unbelievable between him and Smith, getting the puck back, and you can see battling for that puck, able to win that battle, just sacrificing to get the puck in, and that smooth, simple play between him and Smith. It was just an unbelievable sequence, and something that you wouldn't have seen out of San Jose last year. That skill is just so much different than anything we've seen before. But one of the best parts about Celebrini too is just how much that work ethic is able to lead to goals in the end. You have this sequence on the power play here where the puck's along the walls. He's just able to make a simple play to rim it around, get it back to another forward as Wennberg does the dirty work. Celebrini's able to open up and just rifle a puck home. It's simple plays like that though that for Celebrini he's been making this entire season that I didn't know if it would translate immediately onto the NHL. He's making things look so much easier than I ever thought they would. You also have his defensive effort and what we saw out of him in the NCAA. This is no surprise. He's willing to engage defensively, especially against the rush. He's somebody that I think can provide a lot of value on the defensive side, and that also, again, leads to goals in the end. That's why a lot of his draft year last season, I was comparing him to a guy like Jonathan Toews, where the overall work ethic just leads to so much positive results in the end. I truly didn't think, though, we would see this amount of offense already from him and this incredible of a skill set emerge absolutely without no real issues. I mean, almost from day one, Celebrini was an impact player for San Jose, and it's unheard of almost to see somebody at the level, especially coming from the NCAA, not really having any growing pains, especially when you compare it to college hockey and the schedules there where you're playing every weekend and not every other day. It's a pretty big adjustment for 99.9% of players. For Celebrini, he hasn't slowed down one bit. In fact, it seems like he's been getting better the more he plays, the less rest he gets. He's just a monster. I don't understand this guy. And one of the things I wanted to see out of him last year was more confidence, really showing that skill set and more deking ability, more game-breaking talent. And, I mean, watch. I mean, so little players are able to just show off like Celebrini can already, and it's just so much fun to watch, man. The Sharks have deserved this type of talent, and Celebrini is here to show himself and show he can be that guy. But this is just what's so crazy to me, is especially considering his age, how much of a leader, how much of a difference maker he is already. That was another factor that I was kind of interested in to see play out in his rookie season. How much would he, just being 18 and having some of that rawness in terms of his maturity and his physicality, would impede him? And so far that hasn't been the case. He's looked strong. He's looked absolutely brilliant. His conditioning has looked perfect for an 18-year-old. I don't even know how he does it, but it was a concern that was basically turned off completely within the first week of him playing. You even compare it to a player like Connor McDavid, who was a few months older than Celebrini was in his draft year and with a January birth date. In Celebrini's case, the fact that he was so good as a 17-year-old all throughout that season against bigger, overwhelming competition in the NCAA, was dominant there, and we're seeing the same thing in the NHL too. The fact that he's this good already with, of course, still some flaws in his physicality there, how good is he going to be? How just absolutely insane is he going to perform when he's 25, 26 years old? The sky is just the limit when it comes to his IQ and how much that has driven his success. Really, the big thing that I wanted to see out of Celebrini, especially in his draft year, was to overwhelm opponents, because we know how smart he is, how skilled he can be. I wanted to see him assert himself, and I think that's something that San Jose might have told him, because I think that has been one of Celebrini's biggest strengths this year, just how overwhelming he can be for everybody on the opposing team. Whether you're a defenseman, whether you're a forward, Celebrini is always attacking, he's always looking for the puck, he's always looking to make smart plays and quick decisions with his speed and his agility and everything. He is just an overwhelming monster of a player to go against. And the fact that he is this product at 18 years old is simply unbelievable. I mean, I haven't even touched on the stats yet, but you can see in 27 games, 12 goals, 15 assists, 27 points. He's been feasting on the power play, looking great in the man advantage, but in all situations, he's already translated pretty perfectly. I don't think his plus minus is very indicative of the defensive play. He's been rock solid. I don't think he's been otherworldly. He's not going to win the Selke Trophy at 18 years old, but he's been making some very sneaky plays and is able to attack against the rush and just work off opponents well, create turnovers. And the fact that he's even doing that at 18 years old is amazing. I mean, nobody would blame Macklin Celebrini if he was going all offense in his rookie season, trying to establish himself offensively, get that confidence going. I mean, that would have been incredible still. If he was playing at this rate but was bad defensively at 18, that's still insane. But the fact that we have still seen a pretty solid defensive level on this San Jose team with the disciplined play he has, with the work ethic, I mean, he has perfectly translated basically every single strength from his NCAA season onto the NHL, and it's just unbelievable to watch. I truly did not think he was going to be this effective of a rookie, but I mean, when a player shows himself like he did last year, sometimes you just gotta believe him, and I was not believing in Celebrini as much as I should have. That is a mistake on me, and I will be learning that lesson for the future, don't you worry. Now, in terms of the overall rookie points, Michkov still has a lead at 29 points in 35 games, but the points per game difference is pretty massive, with Celebrini only being tied with the elitist of elite in Declan Carlisle, I guess. But in Celebrini's case, he's established himself as a consistent scorer. The big thing going forward will, of course, be that longevity. One of the reasons this was also a factor as well in having Lane Hudson a little bit lower was I didn't know if, because of these NCAA guys, if there was going to be adjustment to that schedule and the consistent just grind of the NHL schedule can be. That was something that I thought could affect maybe some of these guys in the second half of the season. So far, it's been so good for Celebrini, but I think once 2025 hits, it'll be especially interesting to see if that continues, if that keeps up. Still, though, with what Celebrini has shown off in the first half of his NHL rookie season is unbelievable. And even if he slows down a little bit, I mean, nobody would blame him. With what he's shown so far, with how good he's been, this guy deserves a break. Nobody would be surprised if he slows down a little bit, but also I don't think anybody should be surprised if Celebrini continues this type of production. He has just been on a different level of talent already, and folks, it is awesome to see the San Jose Sharks have this type of player again, man. It's been far too long, and especially with how the Shark season is trending, with them still in the bottom of the basement, if they get another top player like a Higgins or a Miso or a Schaefer or a Martone, whew, that Sharks future is looking pretty good, right? As someone that has always been a Sharks enjoyer, I am just happy to see this youth uprising in San Jose, starting off strong, not just with Celebrini, but also Will Smith, especially lately, has looked extremely confident, and that is amazing to see, especially with Will Smith. That was another player that has always had that skill set and already translating it on pretty well to the NHL. So it's not just Celebrini, it's that really whole Sharks youth rise coming up. It is going to be really important and really special for them. But I want to know your thoughts on Celebrini in the comments down below. What do you guys think of his rookie season? Would you give him the Calder Trophy? And do you see by the season's end him still being your #1 guy or being outside of that? I would love to know your thoughts down below. Of course, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and notification bell for more breakdowns just like this. Of course, make sure you share it with all the hockey fans, all the Celebrini fans you guys know online to get his dominance out to them. And of course, click on this card for all of my my prospect content right in one playlist, especially a lot for the 2025 draft. You'll want to keep up on. And of course, use code YouTube150 when you sign up to BetUS today. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Drink some water, and goodbye.